The savannah was a furnace, the midday sun beating down upon the parched earth with relentless intensity. Under this golden glare stood three cheetahs, Claude, Flack, and Kelvin. Claude and Flack were creatures of motion, their powerful muscles twitching with a restless energy. They sprinted across the dry grass, kicking up thick clouds of dust that hung in the stagnant air. "Look at us!" they shouted, their voices filled with the arrogance of the swift. "We are the wind itself." But Kelvin stood apart, motionless as a statue. His eyes were not on the horizon, but fixed upon a tiny line of ants navigating a jagged crack in the sun-baked soil. "You move like a turtle, Kelvin," Claude taunted, sprinting past in a blur of spots. Kelvin did not answer. He simply watched the erratic flight of a bird circling a distant, shimmering ridge. The following morning, a terrifying silence fell over the plains. The great watering hole, the lifeblood of the savannah, had vanished overnight. In its place lay only jagged, sun-baked mud, cracked like broken pottery. Panic rippled through the gathered herd like a physical wave. Animals paced nervously, their eyes wide with the fear of thirst. Claude and Flack did not hesitate. Their muscles coiled, ready to conquer the distance through sheer force. "We will find water first!" they roared, their voices echoing off the dry rocks. Without a second thought, they burst into a full sprint, disappearing into the thick heat haze that blurred the world. They believed that if they ran far enough and fast enough, the land would eventually yield its secrets. They left the others behind, trusting only in their legs. Hours bled into a long, punishing afternoon. Claude and Flack covered miles of barren terrain, their paws thudding against the scorching ground. They searched every hollow and every valley, but the land was empty, a wasteland of dust and bone. As the sun began to dip toward the horizon, painting the sky in bruised purples and oranges, the two runners returned. They were broken. Their tongues lolled from their mouths, and their chests heaved with desperate, ragged breaths. Claude collapsed into the dust, his strength entirely spent. "The land is empty," he wheezed, his voice a dry rasp. "There is no water to be found. We have searched everywhere. The eye can see, and there is nothing but death." The herd groaned in despair, their hope fading with the light of the dying sun. While the others despaired, Kelvin walked forward. His pace was steady, measured, and calm. He knelt by the edge of the dry basin and pressed his palm firmly against the cooling soil, feeling for the faintest vibration of life. Once again, he looked for his tiny teachers. The ants were active again, but this time, they were carrying something precious. Tiny, damp blades of grass, moving with purpose toward the north. Kelvin lifted his head, closing his eyes. He sensed a faint, cool draft drifting from the jagged rocky hills. As night fell, and the first lights appeared in the sky, he tracked the position of a single shimmering star, hanging directly above those distant peaks. "Follow me," Kelvin said, his voice quiet but absolute. He led the desperate animals through the dark, silent plains, moving not with speed, but with certainty. They walked for hours until a new sound emerged, the rhythmic music of water hitting stone. They pushed through a cluster of heavy boulders to find it, a hidden spring bubbling fresh and cold from the heart of the rock. The herd crowded the water, drinking greedily as life returned to their tired bodies. Claude stared at Kelvin, his own breath still shallow. "How did you know?" he asked in a whisper. Kelvin pointed to the damp earth and the star above the ridge. "I watched the signs while you only watched the horizon," he replied. Flack bowed his head in shame. "We ran past the truth because we were too fast to see it." From that day on, the three cheetahs still raced, but they always stopped to watch. They learned that while speed gets you to the finish line, it is observation that reveals the way.